Political parties in Dominica sign a code of conduct ahead of general elections. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, November 28th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Ricardo Roberts. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Dominica's two political leaders have signed on to the election code of conduct ahead of next week's general election. President Charles Savarin met on Wednesday with Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and representatives of the Dominica Labour Party, the DLP, and opposition leader Lennox Linton, and representatives of the United Workers' Party, the UWP. Bishop of Roseau, the Superintendent Minister of the Methodist Church, as well as the Chief Parliamentary Counsel and the Solicitor General also attended the talks. Representatives of both parties expressed their concerns over the current political climate in the lead-up to the general election, and the opposition emphasized that this was due to the lack of electoral reform. Now, after they aired their views and there was an intervention by representatives of the church, Prime Minister Skerrit gave a commitment to promote the peace and dissuade anyone from engaging in civil disobedience of any kind. He also said he will continue to call on his supporters to seek the peace and abide by the law. And the opposition leader gave an assurance that his party will be an instrument of peace and will speak the language of non-violence and non-confrontation. Now, at the end of the talks, both leaders signed the Electoral Code of Conduct. They pledged to, among other things, uphold the laws regarding the conduct of elections and avoid half-truths and misrepresentations which may confuse issues and mislead the electorate. Now, the parties have also promised to avoid all forms of violence and to diffuse any situation which might lead to violence. Well, all that came after the opposition leader called for a police investigation and a commission of inquiry into Prime Minister Skerrit and his administration's alleged involvement in the sale of diplomatic passports. Linton made the call in a video address on Wednesday as he charged that there was clear evidence of wrongdoing documented in an Al Jazeera investigative program aired this week, which alleged several Caribbean countries with citizenship by investment programs were selling diplomatic passports to people who make significant financial contributions to political parties. Now, the UWP leader said it must be established exactly what went on to facilitate the Skerrit government's issuing of diplomatic passports to some foreigners, including Ali Reza Monfared, who was recently jailed for embezzlement in Iran.
It demands an immediate police investigation and indeed a commission of inquiry into what really happened with the passports, the diplomatic passports of Dominica, and what happened with the money exchanged for the diplomatic passports of Dominica. The evidence is crystal clear in the Al Jazeera documentary, but the people of Dominica have a right and a legitimate expectation that the police organization, indeed the head of state, will take this matter seriously and launch the appropriate investigations to get to the bottom of it. We, in the parliamentary opposition, and I as leader of the opposition and leader of the United Workers' Party, in the public interest of Dominica, today call on the Commissioner of Police to launch his investigations urgently, and on the President of Dominica to launch a commission of inquiry into this matter.
Now, Linton alleged that Skerrit and members of his cabinet had been acting in their own interests and not that of Dominica, and he reiterated his commitment to criminalize the sale of diplomatic passports, immunity and ambassadorships if his UWP wins the December 6th general elections.
It is a serious offense against the United Nations 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. It's a crime against humanity, the sale of diplomatic passports, ambassadorships, and diplomatic immunity. And within 100 days of a United Workers' Party administration, we will enact the Prevention of the Sale of Diplomatic Immunity Act, which will prohibit any attempt to sell or any sale of diplomatic passports, immunity, or ambassadorships.
Now, Linton, who was also named in the Al Jazeera documentary, has denied he had anything to do with promises of diplomatic passports to foreigners in exchange for funding for the opposition party's election campaign. Now, in the television program, it was alleged that through his lawyer, David Burney, Linton promised a foreigner that if the UWP won next week's polls, he would be given the role of ambassador within 28 days. Trinidad and Tobago's National Security Minister Stuart Young has alleged there is criminal conspiracy at play in the lead-up to next Monday's local government elections. Speaking on the Bail Amendment Act in the Senate on Wednesday, he disclosed that there was intelligence about disturbing conversations between a sitting member of Parliament and people in prison about strategy for the elections. He said that was contained in one of 3 reports from the special branch.
This report in particular talks about meetings with a notorious gang leader and the promise of contracts estimated at $14 million after the upcoming elections. They're also, not on the PNM side, there are also other matters that have come to attention on activities taking place on the East-West corridor.
Over to Georgetown now. There has still been no decision by the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, on the use of data collected in the house-to-house verification process, which was conducted ahead of the March 2nd, 2020 general and regional elections. Opposition-nominated Commissioner Sassy Gunraj told reporters the commission is still having challenges with that exercise. Now, according to him, 60,000 fingerprints sent for cross-matching did not correspond with data on the National Register of Registrants.
On the face of it, one would want to suggest or assume that those are new persons. However, the Chief Election Officer has indicated to us that the Secretariat went through a process where they interrogated and looked at that cross-matching report, and they have found about 17,000+ people who were not hit or were presumed to be new to be already on the database. So what we do with that information is anyone's guess. There is a lot of contentious debate in the Secretariat about what is to be there. We have taken decisions to contact the service provider of the fingerprint cross-matching, but that is where we are.
Meanwhile, GECOM says only about 100 people picked up their ID cards after GECOM published a list of 19,000 citizens who had not collected their cards since 2008. Government commissioners have been pressing for those who do not collect their cards to be removed from the voters list.
We have no mechanism to determine if somebody dies overseas to take the person off the list. Those cards will not be collected. We have no mechanism, even locally, if people die, they don't register their death to take the names off the list. So for me, there's nothing alarming. We just need to deal with the issue to ensure you don't have these names hanging around to be manipulated in the electoral process.
Over in the Bahamas, former Labour Minister Shane Gibson has been acquitted of 15 bribery charges. A 9-member jury handed down the not guilty verdict on Wednesday after less than 2 hours of deliberation. The 58-year-old Gibson, who served under the previous Progressive Labour Party administration, had been accused of receiving more than $250,000 from a contractor to speed up $1 million in payments for the government owed for cleanup work in the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew in October 2016. More in this Eyewitness News report.
Outside the courthouse telling reporters that he felt justice prevailed today.
When you have the Prime Minister of a country, the Attorney General of a country, the Minister of National Security, who is my second cousin, our grandmothers were sisters. When you have the Commissioner of Police, and when you have the Director of Public Prosecutions along with other cabinet ministers conspiring against you, only God could deliver you.
And although many criticized Gibson for not taking the stand, he said that his defense was solid.
I'm going to speak much more to my future and more details about what actually transpired, because as you know, I didn't take the stand because legally I didn't have to. And we thought their case was so weak. We said I didn't have to take the stand because we knew that they couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that I did what they said I did.
Gibson's lead attorney Keith Knight told reporters that although this case proved to be challenging, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
It was a very difficult case, and the difficulty arose because of the injustice of the investigation. If this case had been investigated in the normal legal way, no charge would have been brought against Shane Gibson.
You're watching Caribbean Newsline. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines government announces a ban on single-use plastic bags and food containers. The details after the break. Stay with us.
Charlie, there's people that have lived here in Wahiawa all their life. They cross the bridge every day. They have no clue that there's a lake here, much less how great the fishing is.
That blows my mind away. Being able to have the opportunity to go saltwater fishing, that's a given, and then go freshwater fishing for peacock bass, which is a unique species of fish. Gotta tell you, that's pretty cool.
Oh my, there you go.
Whoa, there you go.
We keeping it real. We don't need no filters. We do whatever we feel, yeah. Shout out to my hood, but we don't hustle for the money and the food, oh. Yeah, no one ever have. No say me sick. Bonjour.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines government has announced a ban on the distribution, sale, or use of plastic bags, single-use plastic bags, and food containers from next year. Under the law announced in Parliament by Health Minister Senator Luke Brown on Tuesday, the importation of disposable plastic shopping bags will be banned from March 1st, 2020, while the ban on importing disposable plastic food service containers will take effect on August 1st of the same year. On that same date, the ban on the distribution, sale, or use of disposable plastic shopping bags will also take effect. Then the ban on the distribution, sale, or use of disposable plastic food containers will take effect on January 1, 2021. Minister Brown said the government hoped the plastic restrictions would receive similar acceptance and adaptation as the styrofoam ban 2 years ago. The Statistical Institute of Belize is reporting a 1.8% growth in gross domestic product for the third quarter of 2019. It lists climate conditions, world market prices, and consumer demand among the contributing factors to this performance. We get the details from Channel 5 Belize.
Belize produced $663.1 million worth of goods and services from July to September of this year. This is $11.5 million in value of goods and services, or 1.8% growth for the same time last year. The Statistical Institute of Belize says that this increase in the third quarter GDP is largely as a result of activities in the secondary sector, in manufacturing, transportation, wholesale and retail trade increased. The extended dry spell also caused an increase in water generated. The increase in generated electricity resulted from non-hydro generation. Sugar production was up in this category by more than 81 metric tons due to an extended milling season. There was also increased consumer demand for soft drinks and beers. On the other hand, petroleum extraction decreased. In the primary sector during July, August, and September, Belize's banana and cattle productions fell, resulting from drought for both commodities as well as an increase in market prices for cattle. In addition, fishing products were down by $2.7 million compared to 2018. That's because the country didn't export any conch and also recorded a 76% decrease in shrimp exports for that period. The tertiary industries saw a $7.8 million increase in production over the July to September period of last year. This is 1.9% growth. In total, this sector produced goods and services valued at $422.5 million. The tourism sector most notably saw a decrease in activities by 11% or $2.6 million for that period. While July to September falls in the slow season, it was notably down when compared to the same period last year. An exact reason for this is not immediately apparent, but two scenarios that played out around this time were the closure of the western border to foreign buses, as well as the murder of American tourist Gary Swank.
Over in Grenada, industrial action by workers at the Tar Marisho Community College, that's TAM-CC, has hit the 3-week mark, and the lecturers say they are standing firm on their decision to remain in protest mode. They are demonstrating their displeasure with the response given by the government negotiating team and the TAM-CC management body over the long-standing issue of increments. But while the lecturers stay away from the classroom in an attempt to push the TAM-CC Council to pay their 6-year outstanding increments, there are concerns about the effect of the protest on the students. We get more in this GBN News report.
Industrial action continues at the Tar Marisho Community College for a 3rd week, and students say they are feeling the effects of the actions taken by lecturers and other members of staff at TAM-CC in their quest for 6 years of outstanding increments owed to them. Aduni Johnson, president of the Lecturers Association of TAM-CC, in response to concerns by students who attend classes but had no lecturers to teach, said they are hoping for the matter to be resolved quickly.
From the point of view of the lecturers, we are totally concerned with the well-being of the students. I'm sure that we will make the best effort to get the students on stream, but at the same time, we have this situation 6 years pending, and there has been no resolution, more or less.
Addressing members of the media earlier today, Johnson made it clear that students' grades will not be submitted without a resolution to the ongoing dispute.
In relation to the grades are prepared. They're just not going to be handed in. In relation to the students and the courses, we have domination over the teaching learning process, and I think we're confident that if we reach a solution, we can get the students on stream once they do their due diligence.
And ahead in sport, a maiden Test 100 and a record feature as West Indies dominate Day 2 of the one-off test against Afghanistan. Stay with us. Sport is next.
Huge fan base. They're all into the off-road races, and a lot of the people that I race against also race in the Baja racing. So it's a very easy transition. And we worked on this barrel roll. It's basically taking a Baja-style truck and spinning it in the air, 4,500-pound truck, spinning it in the air and landing it on the ground. Nobody's ever done that before. Yeah, we worked on that for 4 years, and we decided to roll it out down at Ensenada, and it was really well received.
Ain't gonna stop, I'ma kill you, I ain't gonna pop. You talking about you hype, you talking about you king and the only thing you king is how you standing there, you ain't body. I this me and your brain fly, you me know, you me say me catch you play that me know with your friend, them kill you and gunshot bend them like a cure, really.
As usual, Spartan King is confident already in the arena, so his style and the way he brings off his lyrics is flawless.
CaribVision is now included in the Once Media subscription. It's simple. Search for oncespotmedia.com, then log in, scroll over to the Live TV and Radio tab, and select CVTV from the drop-down menu, and watch the latest Caribbean culture, news, and sports. It's that simple. CaribVision is now on One Spot Media. Subscribe today.
OneSpotMedia.com.
Shamar Brooks struck a maiden test 100 and Rakeem Cornwall became the first West Indies spinner to claim a 10-wicket match haul on the subcontinent as the Caribbean side dominated Day 2 of the one-off test against Afghanistan on Thursday to put themselves on the verge of a comprehensive victory. On another bowler's day at the Atal Bihari Vajpayee International Stadium when 14 of 15 wickets fell to spinners, West Indies managed to secure an important 90-run lead after being dismissed for 277 in their first innings. Brooks, unbeaten overnight on 19, faced 214 balls and counted 15 fours and a 6 to complete 3 figures in his third test after making his debut last August against India in the Caribbean. Left-handed opener John Campbell resuming from 30 made 55, which was his maiden test half-century in his 6th match at this level. Wicketkeeper Shane Dowridge chipped in with 42 in his first test appearance in 9 months following injury. Debutant left-arm spinner Amir Hamza picked up 5 for 74. Leg spinning captain Rashid Khan claimed 3 for 114, while Zahir Khan, another left-arm spinner, supported with 2 for 53. In reply, Javeed Ahmadi lashed 7 fours and a 6 in a 75-ball knock as he put on 53 for the first wicket, with Ibrahim Zadran to give Afghanistan a solid start. Ahmadi and Nasir Janal defied West Indies in a 37-run 5th-wicket partnership before Chase snatched 3 wickets in as many overs to spark another slump. Well, after the match, an elated Shamar Brooks, who acknowledged Sir Everton Weeks as the legend who mentored him in his early days of cricket, spoke about the team's performance. Brooks played with fluency on either side of the wicket and raised his half-century in the second over after the day's first drinks break. Unbeaten on 75 at lunch, he reached his 100 about half an hour before tea, pinching a single or forward of Hamza. Now Brooks and Shane Dowridge combined in a 74-run 6th wicket stand, which took the Windies to lunch on 195 without further loss and also frustrated the Afghans early in the second session. The batsman says consistency played a huge role in him reaching his maiden test century.
Very happy coming in for my 3rd test match. Guys were in a bit of trouble. John and I this morning we had a partnership. We also worked out how we were going to score and bowlers we were comfortable against, and it proved vital in terms of getting us past, in terms of getting first innings and then getting 90 runs lead. It's a bit of trial and error, playing at the first class level and doing it year in, year out. I've had my downtime, and then being in the West Indies A team, I've learned a lot over the last 3 years, last 3 seasons, and I guess now it's just to come at this level and continue in that vein in terms of being consistent. Today, good pitch to bat on, I guess, with challenging spinners. Just stuck to the basics and it came out on top.
Now, Brooks also credited his colleagues for their performance.
I mean, after the way they started, 50 without loss, but only a lead of 90. But at the end of the day, we always believed that once we got a wicket, you never know what could happen, and it happened today for us. Rakeem being himself, coming in the areas, bowling very, very tight, not giving much. And when he produced the wicket-taking delivery, the guys took the chances. Russell Chase coming in the end. As the guys say, he's always a second innings man, so he came this evening and he did a job for us. So all in all, credit must go to the team in terms of how we went about business in this game thus far.
And staying with cricket, Cricket West Indies has announced the squads to face India in 3 T20 internationals and a 3-match ODI series next month. The world champions will play the T20 series from December 6th to 8th and then the ODIs between December 18th and the 22nd. India whipped the Caribbean men 3-0 in the shortest format and 2-0 in the ODI series when they visited the Caribbean back in August. Now commenting on the ODI squad, head coach Phil Simmons said, quote, "We have 3 matches in each format, so we wanted to give each squad a chance to compete against India. No disrespect to Afghanistan, but facing India will be a more difficult series. Our players really got the hang of things with the 3-0 series win in the ODIs, and I believe we will move from strength to strength," end quote. Now commenting on the senior men's chances in the T20 International Series, Simmons says, quote, "In the T20s, this will be another chance for them to play and develop And again, with no disrespect to Afghanistan, this should be a stronger T20 country, and we will look to see how they perform against India. Now, the next ICC T20 World Cup is in Australia, and the one after that is here in India. So there is a lot of preparation to be done for Australia. We have given the players here a chance in this series, and we know we have players outside who may be coming in later on as well. So it's good to give those here another opportunity. End quote. That's for sports. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you think of what we went through with Hurricane Irma, you had to be able to recognize what are the things we need to do to cope with the aftermath. The psychological trauma, to me, is probably the most telling on a lot of people.
Preparedness is the key. So when people are prepared, when people have what their resources in terms of how they can cope with the disaster, they're better able to be able to return to their normal life. They're better able to make decisions that are informed for themselves and for their family, and then for their community. Be ready. Look, listen, and link.
Ain't gonna stop, I'ma kill you, I ain't getting pop. You talking about you happy, you talking about you king and the only thing you king is how you standing there, you ain't body.
I this me and your brain fly. You me know, you me say me catch you play that me know with your friend them kill you and gunshot bend them like a cure. Really.
As usual, Spartan King is confident already in the arena, so his style and the way he brings off his lyrics is flawless.
Charlie, there's people that have lived here in Wahiawa all their life. They cross the bridge every day. They have no clue that there's a lake here, much less how great the fishing is.
That blows my mind away. Being able to have the opportunity to go saltwater fishing, that's a given, and then go freshwater fishing for peacock bass, which is a unique species of fish. Gotta tell you, that's pretty cool.
Oh my, there you go.
Whoa, there you go.
Again, the major developments of this day: Dominica's political parties sign a code of conduct ahead of next week's general elections. And in sport, West Indies dominates day 2 of the one-off test against Afghanistan to put themselves on the verge of a comprehensive victory. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports round the clock, subscribe to CaribVision.com. For more of our programming, log on to CaribVision TV and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.